Welcome to TAO Dog Yoga. I'm Steph and this is my dog River. And for today's practice, we are going to dive into how to start a TAO dog practice for you and your dog. You'll want to have a small space that's quiet to set the tone for you and your dog in this practice. You'll want to have some kibble or some very small treats for when your dog is practicing their yoga. And you'll want a yoga mat for yourself and maybe a mat or bed also for your dog to lay down and get really comfortable. Let's get started. Come over to your yoga mat and find a comfortable seat. Allowing yourself to move around a bit here so that you are really comfy. Good. And then you can invite your dog over to practice next to you. You can ask them to lay down right on your yoga mat or beside you. Or you can also have your dog move about the space, right? So it's whatever you prefer in your practice. Come here, River. Down. Down. Good. Good, and just even calm praise. So as we're starting a yoga practice, there's a little bit of training that's happening with our dogs. So this TAO dog practice is an interactive practice between the two of you. And we use different tools. The first one will be our breath to help signal to our dogs that they can relax beside us. So as you come to your comfortable seat, sit up a little bit taller, making room for your breath. Lift your heart, let your shoulders drop down. Beautiful. And then start to just breathe. Breathing in and out through your nose and notice your breath. Right? Notice how it just feels to arrive on your yoga mat and just breathe in and out. Good. And then notice what your dog is doing. Right? Your dog may be settling beside you, or if this is your first time practicing yoga, your dog may be really interested in what you're doing, maybe giving you kisses or stepping on you in your mat. And you can just ask your dog to lay down, giving them some information that they can relax while you relax. Now let's start to deepen our breath. As you breathe in, feeling that breath travel all the way up from your lower belly into your rib cage, even into your chest, letting yourself grow nice and tall. And then keeping that length in your spine as you exhale out completely. Can you soften anywhere in your body? Can you let your shoulders drop down? Maybe it's even in your seat. Yeah, shifting back a little, letting yourself soften, right, throughout your hips and your legs. Let's take another breath in, growing nice and tall, keeping all that beautiful length. And then as you exhale, just soften a bit. Good. Breathe in again, nice and deep and deliberate, slow. And then as you exhale, super slow, exhale all the breath out. Good. As we breathe in and out here, we're signaling to our dogs that they can slow down too, right? Our dogs are our mirrors and they pay attention to everything we do. So even our breath really can shift things for their level of energy and helping them to understand we're slowing down, that they can actually relax as well. So throughout our practice, you'll continue to breathe deeply in and out to support not only yourself, but your dog. All right, let's add in a little movement. Take your hands out to either side. Take a breath in and sweep your arms up overhead, bringing your palms together. Give them a little press together. Yeah, feel that energy, and then sit up a little bit taller, reaching your rib cage away from your hips, getting even more length in your spine, and then sweep your arms down. Notice if that changes anything for your dog, that little bit of movement. Some dogs really notice that. Some dogs are like, that's okay, you can move as much as you want. So getting that feedback from your dog. Again, inhale, sweep up. As we exhale, this time we'll twist to the right. Let your hands drop down. One can come behind your back, one right on your knee. Lengthen your spine, breathe in, and then exhale. Take a twist over to the right side. Continuing with your steady breath, coming back through center, bring your palms together, and we'll go the other way. Dropping your hands down to the left side, lifting, lengthening, and then twisting. Good. Coming back through center one last time, sweep your arms up. Let your palms touch, and then let your hands just float down as you exhale. Good. Continuing to move in our yoga practice, we're going to do a little flow. So we're going to move through this flow, and then we're going to have our dogs flow as well. Very similar flow to ours. In dog yoga, if we move quick, guess what? Our dogs are probably going to move quick too. So again, keeping them in that calm state is a little bit of thinking about our body language, and it's a little bit of training, even though we're doing yoga, is moving nice and slow. Our dogs are very keyed into our body language, so if we move slow, they're going to stay calm. If we move really quick, they're going to move quick. So you can even remind your dog to stay and then move nice and slowly. And we'll meet in child's pose. Child's pose, you'll take your knees out close to the edges of your mat, bring your toes towards each other, let your hips shift back, and then take your hands out in front of you. If your dog is on your yoga mat, you can, I always say, yoga around them or with them. So I'm just gonna reach forward. Sometimes if we make contact with our dog, they relax more. Some dogs might get excited, so notice what happens with your dog if they're on your mat. And then in child's pose, let your heart drop down, and then your head follows. Letting your head connect to the mat if it's there. Otherwise, you're letting your head be heavy, letting your neck soften here. And notice your breath, that steady breath in and out, supporting you. Supporting the opening in your hips, supporting the length that you're finding in your spine. And then we'll shift to tabletop. So taking your hands right underneath your shoulders, lifting your hips up. Hands are underneath your shoulders, and then your knees are just about underneath your hips. The tops of your feet can be pressing down into your mat, or you can curve your toes under and press out through your heels. That's another little extra stretch there in the balls of our feet. Then we're going to transition from up dog to down dog to table to child's pose, really warming up our spine and introducing some of our favorite poses in dog yoga. So for up dog, we're just going to walk our hands forward slightly. I got to shift a little bit because River's sharing my mat with me today. Dropping your hips down. Good. And then press into your hands. You can even bring a little bend to your elbows here. And then let your gaze go out in front of you. Let your chin lift, opening the whole front side of your body. Using your breath here as you breathe in, allow your heart to press forward, reaching forward, more length in your spine. And then as you exhale, let's shift back to tabletop. Moving into downward facing dog, curl your toes under, press your hips up. You can walk your feet in just a little bit. And then check out your hands. You can take them nice and wide and shift your weight forward so that your energy in your hands is even, right? Sometimes we want to lean back into our wrists, but you really want to shift that forward and feel that in your fingertips too, so you can feel that connection. Now use that, press into your hands and shift your hips up and back. Your heels are gonna reach down towards your mat, and then let your head go, so no tension in your neck here. Take a breath in, and then as you exhale, let's find our tabletop, dropping your knees down, and then we'll press back to child's pose. Pressing our hips back, letting our heart melt down. Full round of breath here, in through your nose and out through your nose. Let's do that one more time, shifting forward into table. Good, noticing how your core wants to engage here. So you can bring in a little scoop to your lower belly, helping you transition through each of these poses. And then we'll take our hands forward, dropping our hips down. Hi, River. Good. Letting your gaze maybe even go up. So let your chin lift on this one. Gaze goes up and open. Then shifting back through table. Curl your toes under. Find your down dog. So feel that little engagement in your lower belly. Draw it up and in. Good. And then let your head drop. No tension in your neck. Check out your hands. Spread everything nice and wide so you're even in your hands. And then use your hands. Press down. Shift your hips back. Take a breath in. Good, and then as you exhale, lower your knees down and find child's pose. Press your hips back and drop your forehead down. Yeah, let it all go here. One full round of breath, and as you breathe in, feel the whole back of your body expand. And then as you exhale, let everything soften down a bit. And then walking your hands in, coming back up to kneeling or seated on your yoga mat. So noticing the shift in your body, noticing if you feel physically different, maybe a little more relaxed, using your breath to support yourself in your practice, and also our presence. Sometimes when we're doing yoga, we forget where our dog is in space. River decided to get up and check out what was going on outside. And I was so in my practice, I know he got up, but I wasn't exactly sure what he was doing. So allowing that in your practice, to get lost in your yoga practice. And it's also good for your dog just to kind of say, we're just doing this together. They can get up, look out the window, it's not a big deal, and they lay back down. Let's move into some yoga with our dog. So go ahead and get some kibble or treats for your dog. And you'll want a little handful, and you may notice your dog perks up just like River did. He's very tuned in to the sound of my treat jar. And I find it helpful in our practice to have a jar that is covered for my treats so that my dogs understand that they can't go sneak a little snack in the middle of yoga. So let's have our dogs practice a very similar flow to what we did. Our dogs' bodies are a little bit different, but what the focus is here is on their core. Just like us, we used our core as we move through these poses. With our dogs, we'll want to be doing that as well. So in any of these poses, they're transitioning using their core. And again, the whole tone of our practice is nice and slow. In a dog yoga practice and in our TAO dog practice, you're going to be teaching them to be really thoughtful in their bodies. So your dog will learn how to move through this, not just as obedience or fun tricks, but as really thoughtful yoga poses. So to get started, we want to have our dogs right on our yoga mat with us. You'll want a non-slip surface. So sometimes it's helpful to have a second mat for your dog. I'm used to practicing with River right on my mat, and if you want your dog to be right on your mat, you can work that way as well. So initially I want River to get up so I can start with him, so you can use this trick with your dog. I'm just going to take one piece of kibble, I'm going to toss it away from me until I'm free. Good. And then I'm going to shift to kneeling with him. You can stay kneeling with your dog or you can stand. And then I'm going to lure him. So you just take a piece of food right on your dog's nose, let them follow it onto your yoga mat, and you can feed them when they get there. When your dog gets to your mat, feed them that one first piece, 2 pieces, and 3 pieces in their stand. We're going to start first with child's pose like we started. So you can take one treat, put it right on your dog's nose, and then you're going to move it directly downward. So your dog comes into the down position, and you can feed your dog right there. To really bring in an element of child's pose and not just a down with our dogs, we want them to drop their chin, drop their head, and move it forward so that they can get a little bit more of a stretch in the whole backside of their neck and also in the front of their body a little bit. So to do that, when your dog is in the down position, you'll take one treat right on your dog's nose, lower it downward between their paws, and then bring it forward just a little bit and let your dog reach for it. So there, River shifted forward a little bit more than he usually does, but that's okay when you're first starting. The idea is they hold the down and just move the front part of their body. So I'm going to move it forward a little bit. So he's reaching. Good boy. Let's do that 2 more times, bringing your dog's head down and forward. Good. Last one, down and forward. So they're just working at the food. Good. So your dog may be nibbling at the tree as they come forward. We want to have them do that for a couple of seconds. Okay, River down. A couple of seconds before you give them the food. We want it to be a little bit more sustained stretch, just like we were doing. All right, let's free our dogs up so you can free them up. Tossing a piece of treat, have them come back. We're going to work on have your dog come into stand, which is their version of table. We did child's pose. Now let's work on a little bit of up dog with our dogs. So how I begin up dog is I like to place a hand right underneath my dog's belly. So I'm going to place a hand under River's belly right in front of his hips. And I might feed one piece just as I put my hand there. So let's do that a couple times. You can have your dog interested in the piece of food. Go ahead, Riv. And then just place your hand there. When your hand's under there, you can feed. Good, and then you can take your hand away. Good, come back. Place my hand there, feed, just so your dog gets used to your hand being on them. Our hands in dog yoga and also dog training are such a beautiful tool that we can use to support our dogs. So I love to invite that in right away in a dog yoga practice to introduce to our dogs that it's safe and they can trust us when our hands are on them. So this time you'll have one hand under your dog's belly. Take that piece of food or that little treat and you're gonna bring it upward. Good, and then you can feed. Good. And then your dog's head can drop back to neutral. So neutral is where their nose naturally comes out. And then you're gonna put one piece of food, this is their up dog, have them reach for it. They're opening up the whole front of their body. Come get it, buddy. Can encourage them to get it a little bit. Go, let's do that 2 more times. Piece of food on our dog's nose. My hand is under here for support so that he doesn't just walk forward and get the food. That helps him to stretch that whole front of his body nice and slow, and he's actually holding it there. Good, let's do that 1 more time. Ooh, I dropped a piece. There you go, we got it. Good, 1 piece of food, come up. Eventually your dog will freeze and hold it. Right? You can bring the food out and feed. Good, let's give our dogs a little break in between so you can reload on treats if you're out. It's allowing your dog to move freely here. Good, and then we're gonna invite in downward dog for our dogs. So these positions are really fun for our dogs to learn, but they also really challenge their bodies. When we're working on up dog, we want our dog to be lifting their head and opening the whole front of their body. The whole front part of our dog is lifting. Now we're going to transition into down dog where their back end is lifting and their front end is going down. So all of these really mirror the poses we just did. Even though our dogs have 4 legs per se, we have arms and legs. So it's a little different, but I want you to think of the concepts being similar in that where their body is going, right? So the front end's going to go down, just like our down dog. The back end stays up. So you can allow your dog to start working on that piece of food. Bring the treat directly down and then back slightly. And then you can feed. Right here, River's offering, so it's gonna go down. And in between his paws, he's offering his down dog. I'm gonna keep my hand here for support in the beginning stages. If you're working with your dog and they're going down and they're about, he's just offering it. Come here, bud. Up. I just wanna show you one thing. If they're about here, you can start here with your dog. That's a great spot. Notice how River's body is facing downward in the front and his back end is up. You're on your way to down dog, right? And for my other dog, TAO, she's 11 years old. This is her down dog because she's older and her flexibility is different. As you work this though, and you bring the food down and in, your dog may offer this. Go ahead and you can start to remove your hand. Maybe your dog will hold it there and you can feed again. If they drop down, you can just put your hand right back up. Good. Excellent. Have your dog go back into stand. You can lure your dog right back up. So you can try that a few times. Bringing the food down and in. You can tell your dog yes when they do the right thing. So yes. River's getting a little tired, so he's going to go into a down. Good. So playing with this. Dog yoga, free, is a fun activity to do with your dog to strengthen your relationship. Right? It's a lot of fun. Sit. Just going to have River sit for a moment. It's a lot of fun, it's a positive activity, and it's something different for you to do with your dog. I love a TAO dog practice because we get yoga for ourselves and our dogs also get their yoga in. So there's a lot happening all at once. This type of exercise will also follow you into the rest of your life with your dog, right? So it'll follow you into other aspects of your training, or if you like to hike with your dog, or we like to paddleboard in the summer. This type of connection and relationship follows us in all of those things, and it will for you and your dog. Let's end with our dogs flowing through each of those for 1 treat and see how they do. So we'll start in child's pose. Have your dog lay down. You'll take 1 treat, put it right on their nose, let them get interested, bring it straight down and forward, letting them stretch forward. Good. Good, next we're gonna help our dogs into a stand. So you'll put 1 treat right on their nose. Ooh, 1 treat on their nose. Scoop your hand under their lower belly and bring that treat forward into a stand. Good. Gotta move my food around a little. Good. Helping River back onto the mat. Let's try an up dog. Hand under for support. Treat goes right up. Good. Let them hold it for a couple seconds. Now let's try a down dog. Treat on your dog's nose. It goes directly down, and then slide it in between their paws. Their hips shift back. You can tell them yes when they do the right thing. Good. And then we'll end in child's pose. So have your dog lay down. Good. Place the food in front and bring it forward. Good. River here is pawing at it, scooting forward. Good. I'm going to do my best, even just a hand of support to keep him still while he reaches. Awesome. Beautiful. So this is the start to a TAO Dog Yoga practice with your dog. We look forward to sharing more of this fun practice with you all in future videos. So thank you for being here, and I will see you again real soon back here at TAO Dog Yoga.